Good evening. Welcome to this evening's edition of the Vision Root video blog. I'm your host, Richard Irvin. I'm coming to you from our new location in historic Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Tonight's topic is, if Black Lives Matter, how come ... I'd like to start with a scripture reading from 1 Chronicles 6, chapter 16. For great is the Lord, and most worthy of praise. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Splendor and majesty are before him. Strength and joy are in his dwelling place. Well, it's been a little while. I'm happy to be with you again. So I'd like to speak out. We've seen a really racially charged atmosphere building in our nation, or being promoted on the media and through different sources. But is this a real thing, or is it bogus? Are really whites hating blacks and causing a racial war? Well, in my experience, this is bogus. I've been working mostly in the black community in Washington, D.C. for basically almost 20 years, mostly working with youth promoting sexual abstinence. D.C. public schools are like, 95% black. So most youth we work with are black. So usually I've done a lot of work, mostly for little or no pay, to, work with black youth to help them, enrich their lives through abstaining from sex before marriage and obtaining, hopefully, the state of being married, having a stable family, being successful. And statistics really promote that approach, because if you're graduate from high school, if you don't have a baby till you're married, basically you're going to be like, kids are going to be 85% less likely to be poor in the future. So that's a pretty strong statistic. So you'd think like different leaders would promote that, and that would be something that would really empower the black community. So why is that not happening? If Black lives do matter, why is this very common sense approach not happening? And we know that the most dangerous place for a child, well, one, it's in the womb. Like in DC, some 45% of black babies are aborted. So you think, wow, it'd be really good to promote sexual abstinence to avoid all this carnage, but yet that's not what happens. Instead, they're promoting, you know, homosexual sex, transgender issues, and all this stuff. So effectively causing havoc in the community, specifically in the black community, where east of the river in Anacostia, 85% of children are born out of wedlock. This is a formula for chaos. So if Black Lives Matter, how come we're not doing things that help the black community? So since the Johnson administration started promoting, all this social welfare, things have taken a downhill turn. It used to be about 25% of the births are out of wedlock, and that was a crisis. Now it's 75% plus, and you don't hear a thing about it. So let's get back to the issue of Black Lives Matter. Is the issue really that white people hate black people and that these evil cops are killing people? Well, over some 250 black people were killed. That's a serious thing. But how many more black babies were aborted? How many more people fell down in the bathtub? Or, something like that. Is that really the central issue? Many more white people were shot and killed, but, nobody cares about that too much. So is this a real issue, or is it fabricated? And by the way, why are all these protesters coming out to Ferguson and to other cities in DC? They just happen to show up? No, they didn't just happen to show up. Look it up. George Soros, the billionaire, is funding dozens of organizations, especially through the Open Society Foundation, that suddenly happened to show up in Ferguson, Missouri. Oh my gosh. And these organizations are basically causing this charged atmosphere and chaos and making an atmosphere that says, oh, well, it's okay to shoot white people that are racist. Really? That's crazy. That's complete bullshit monkey. So this is crazy. I hope if you're a black person, if you're a white person, if you're a Hispanic person, you'll wake up. Hello, if you want to be empowered, take control of your life. Find out what's going on. Find out why so many black babies are being aborted. Why aren't people promoting marriage in the black community so there's stability? What interest would people have in promoting racism? So they can control, so there's martial law, so there's all this crazy stuff is happening. This is a fake atmosphere promoting all these riots and all this mayhem. Hello, the biggest problem isn't that some white policeman will most likely kill you. It's a lot more likely that something will happen, black on black crime or whatever. Why is there such chaos, especially in the black community? Well, it's because fathers are absent, which causes chaos. Who caused that? Did black people decide, oh, I'd like to have chaos? No, basically, your wonderful, friendly government caused it. Probably more the Democrats. I mean, the Republicans were the party of Lincoln, but still, big government on both sides. So when you're on the government dole, then that doesn't help at all. Or maybe it helps just a little. In the meantime, you're enslaved forever. Hello? You need to be in an environment that's safe and stable for your children. 90% of children, even in dangerous neighborhoods who grow up with mother and father, do not become delinquent. What we should be doing is promoting sexual abstinence. Is DC public schools, for instance, as I blogged about several times, do they care about promoting sexual abstinence? No, they openly interfere with our program. They try to throw us out of the DC schools. They, make all kinds of reasons. But yet they're glad to promote multiple genders, gay and bisexual problems, or whatever promotion, causing havoc and confusion with youth, black, white, yellow, whatever color. Oh my gosh. But yet the problem is, if you're black, that some person wants to shoot you. Hello, most of the policemen in DC are black, in case you didn't notice. You're not likely, and even if they weren't, it's extremely unlikely that that's going to be your major problem. It's a lot bigger problem that a father is in the home. I'm sorry, not that the father's home. The father is not in the home. A boyfriend is living with your mom. I've had students personally tell me, not, that they had a particular situation going on, but I've known students have loathed the fact that their mom's boyfriend was at home. Why would they loathe that fact? Could there be something going on there? And it's a fact that, like, if a boyfriend is in the home who's not the biological father, there's like 20, 30 times more likelihood of sexual abuse. That's the problem, the overwhelming breakdown of the family. So if you think the problem is that, there's some terrible police, that's not the major overriding problem. This is a made up problem. And so this is a problem where people are trying to dupe you into believing that. So do your research. Look up George Soros. Look up the Open Society Foundation. An article just came out a couple days ago about how the head of the Black Lives Matter in Baltimore, he lives in a house funded by major donors to the Open Society Foundation. Boy, that's pretty convenient. So such a grassroots activist. He's like me, just works for free to help people. Not. And he's also on the dole for $150,000 from the Baltimore School Board. Look it up. So, I mean, this stuff is crazy. So please be aware. Start waking up. Start looking at alternate news sources for what's going on. Check out sites like Infowars.com. If you're only watching ABC, NBC, CNN, you're like, don't even know what's going on. Okay, so if Black Lives Matter, how come? How come we're not promoting marriage in the black community? How come we're not abhorred that 45% of babies in DC, black babies particularly, are aborted? How come we're not abhorred that 12-year-olds in DC can get abortions without parental consent? Hello, yes, that's right. Several people asked me, are you sure, Richard? Yes, I'm 100% sure that 12-year-olds in DC can get an abortion without parental permission. Hello, anybody home? Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, share this video. Yes, Black lives do matter, but how come all this crazy stuff is happening, if Black Lives Matter, why don't we strengthen families? Why don't we promote fathers in the family? That's what politicians should be talking about. So, I'm Richard Urban. I'm reporting from historic Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. Have a great evening.